Well, a very warm welcome, everybody, to the penultimate weekend of the Grand Prix season on F124. This is Webbo, and we're using the latest performance upgrades, of course, for this session. We're going to look at the starting grid for the sprint race first, having completed sprint qualifying. That sees an all-McLaren front row, true to form at the moment, and true to expectations prior to the weekend. Amongst most of the press, it seems Norris ahead of Piastri, but not by very much, it would seem. Leclerc ahead of Russell, the latest winner, with a Red Bull row 3. Hamilton and Sainz in 7th and 8th, and Alonso and Gasly 9th and 10th will be vying over those all-important top 8 points finishing positions. Stroll, Ocon, Albon, Hülkenberg, Tsunoda and Bottas, with Kevin Magnussen, Franco Colapinto, if he avoids the wall, Zhou Guanyu and Liam Lawson. Looks to be our starting grid as we head into the race. Here's your sprint results then. Lando Norris managing to convert sprint pole into sprint victory, with Oscar Piastri in second place. Max Verstappen gaining a position into P3, and Charles Leclerc in 4th. We have George Russell, followed by Sergio Perez, Carlos Sainz and Lewis Hamilton scoring the final points, but not having the best sprint session of it, of course. And then, of course, we outside of those points, we have Alonso and Stroll, with Gasly and Esteban Ocon, Albon, Hülkenberg, Bottas. We have our Liam Lawson position, Zhou Guanyu, Tsunoda ahead of Franco Colapinto. Kevin Magnussen looked to be a retiree ahead of my teammate Brendon Leigh. Let's go for a start replay then here in Qatar. It's an exciting place to start the race, and it's a frighteningly fast final sector. Looks like the Ferrari of Leclerc gets well ahead from the outset there. Let's have another look at how that one worked out, as it looks like it's just an amazing launch followed by a really poor launch from Lando Norris, losing 2 positions, and Leclerc going side by side with Piastri. Piastri almost shepherding her out and off the track, but Leclerc braver onto the brakes on the switchback into the following corner. Looks like that was the majority of our positions. The Mercedes fighting over the best of the rest here, and just outside the podium. The race seemed to come unstuck here for Lewis Hamilton, but at the moment he's fighting alongside with his teammate George Russell, and they continue to go double file throughout the rest of the grid here, as we've got Verstappen trying to go around the outside of Sainz and ultimately will triumph and go up to 3rd position from his lowly starting position, and it looks like this circuit suiting both the McLaren and the Red Bull, less so the Ferrari. Let's see if Piastri, Norris, Leclerc changes throughout the course of this first lap, or it's all done later on. But somehow Norris converting 3rd off turn 1 back into a win ahead of his teammate, and Leclerc going backwards from that first lap. It must have been down to tyre wear. We'll have a look at the tyre strategies at play later on, but yeah, very interesting first lap, and things must have unravelled much further on into the course of the race from there. Look at those Mercedes still going side by side. Fantastic first lap from the Silver Arrows team. It's like Lewis still trying to hold on. Look at the tyre selection. It wasn't tyres that seemed to come undone for several drivers. Everybody starting on the mediums, but clearly the car's just simply not suiting those tyres, and particularly the temperatures here in Qatar. Starting grid for the Grand Prix now. Let's have a look at how things worked out. George Russell on a bit of a tear at the moment, in pole position by just over 100th of a second from Oscar Piastri. That's exactly what we want to see. Pole time 1:21.407. Charles Leclerc within a 10th, with Sainz alongside him on row 2. Verstappen versus Hamilton, row 3, and while the gloves are off in the championship, that's going to be interesting. Perez and Alonso, Gasly and Ocon. Alpine's doing well. Norris down in 11th, continuing his current disappointing run, with Stroll, Albon, Hülkenberg, Tsunoda, Bottas, Magnussen, and Franco Colapinto, with Zhou Guanyu, the Andretti team here, and Liam Lawson at the back serving a penalty. it would seem. So Grand Prix podium time, the Mercedes mechanics looking happy, and it's George Russell once again with the blue gloves held aloft in the night sky. 2 races on the trot potentially. What a run of form that would be for George Russell, finally starting to show some real quality and some ability to perform under intense pressure. No classic Spider-Man pose at the moment for him. And we've got Max Verstappen. I think that looked like Piastri setting himself up as a real contender for 2025. But it's George Russell with the biggest trophy, and cars looking fabulous out there. Let's see if you think this is a likely podium, as we again seem to fail to see any Ferraris or Lando Norris right up there at the top. Confirming your Grand Prix results then, George Russell, with the fastest lap as well, converting pole position, a Grand Slam for George Russell then, and finishing just 2.9 seconds away from Max Verstappen. Oscar Piastri dropping a place to Max down in 3rd, but still finishing within 8 seconds, as did Lewis Hamilton in 4th. Lando Norris picked up several positions, 6 in fact, up to P5, so contender for driver of the day. But Charles Leclerc down several spots there, down to 6th, but finishing just ahead of his teammate by 2 seconds in the end. Carlos Sainz in 7th. Sergio Perez in 8th position, picking up some well-needed points there for the Constructors' Championship. Then we've got Alonso and Stroll finishing down in 9th and 10th. Ocon, Gasly, Albon, Tsunoda, Bottas, Hülkenberg. We've got Colapinto, Zhou Guanyu, with Brendon Leigh in 19th, with Kevin Magnussen down in 20th, DNFing again, as did Liam Lawson, unfortunately. So a weekend to forget for both of those drivers, it seems. Let's have a quick look then at tyre strategies. Medium to hard seem to be the way to play the game for everybody that finished the race in the end. Brilliant consistency there, but hopefully we'll have something more interesting to see with regard to the tyres out there in Qatar this weekend. Let's have a look then, shall we, at the standings as we have them here on our predictions half of the season. We have Max just the 1 point ahead of Charles Leclerc. Now, this is taken from just the second half of the 2024 season, and that is very, very interesting indeed. Super close. If only we'd had it like that, with Ferrari outperforming Red Bull. McLaren down in 3rd in this second half of the season, just on its own, with Mercedes where they are and where we expect them to be at the moment in that 4th position. Let's replay the start then for the Qatar Grand Prix. The lights are on, it's time to go racing. And it's drop the clutch and go. It's Leclerc in 3rd position away from the start, but it's Max Verstappen looking racy already up in the front, with George Russell blocking the inside line. 4 wide into turn 1 they went. The Red Bulls coming together 3 separate times there, as Verstappen drops behind Perez, would you believe, now that the gloves are off in the championship. And he had a lot of work to do there to finish on the podium. But Russell holding off Piastri, Leclerc into 3rd. Perez versus Verstappen continues, just as we saw the Mercedes in the sprint race, side by side throughout the course of this first lap. This is the slowest corner on the circuit. Perez still nosing ahead slightly here of Max Verstappen. We did see a little bit of niggle there in the first corner, and it continues side by side, but they end up costing themselves a huge amount of time and blocking Carlos Sainz from moving forward. But Perez showing kind of grit and determination that we have rarely seen, especially alongside his world champion teammate. So in an enthralling first lap would set us up for a very, very special fight throughout the race, and would be very interesting to see Perez once his teammate has completed the championship. Does he actually drive this car in a very different way? Those Alpines still together, still having a really good final part of this 2024 season, but the top 4 getting away fantastically. And I think it would be that Verstappen might have had to wait for DRS to make the move here into the first corner for the second time of asking. Russell, Piastri, Leclerc, Hamilton after lap 1.